shaped legends. And now, they're here for you. So if you're ready to develop the kind of executive mindset that commands respect, to operate at a level of high performance that feels effortless, then sit back, focus in, and let's begin. When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. Marcus Aurelius. There's a silent war happening every morning, and most people don't even realize they've already lost. They roll out of bed and straight into chaos. Check their phones. Get hit with bad news. Notifications. DMs. A firestorm of noise. Before their feet even touch the ground, the world is already inside their head. But here's the truth the Stoics knew. If you don't win the morning, you lose the day. Marcus Aurelius began his mornings by journaling. Epictetus started his day with mental rehearsal, preparing his mindset like a soldier polishes his sword. They weren't optimizing for likes or productivity. They were fortifying their inner citadel, their emotional stronghold, because they knew that mental clarity must precede external action. Modern science is catching up. Top performers, Navy SEALs, CEOs with an executive mindset, they all share one thing in common. They don't check in with the world before checking in with themselves. Why? Because the first 30 minutes of your day is when your brain is most malleable, most susceptible to influence. That's when you program your mental operating system, either with intention or by default. So what does a Stoic do? Silence before stimulation. Start your day without reaching for your phone. Instead, sit, breathe, reflect. Practice gratitude. Journal a single Stoic truth. Visualize the person you intend to be today. Clarity before complexity. Choose your first thought intentionally. Will you begin with anxiety or purpose? Write it down. Affirm it. Anchor yourself. Focus before the flood. Don't start the day reacting to other people's urgency. Start by reinforcing your own priorities, your values, your intention. This is not a morning routine. This is a mental resilience ritual. Think of it like this. A soldier doesn't walk into battle without armor. An architect doesn't build without a blueprint. And a Stoic doesn't meet the world before first meeting himself. If you want inner mastery, if you want to command your thoughts instead of being a servant to them, if you want to lead your life instead of be led by random inputs, then master your morning. Because what you do between 5 a.m. and 8 a.m. will echo between 8 a.m. and midnight. So tomorrow morning, don't open your phone. Open your mind. Let your first win of the day be a quiet one, because that victory, though unseen, is what builds the strongest men. Win the morning. Win the mind. Win the war. If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. Epictetus, let's be honest. Everyone has a trigger, a tone, a look, a certain phrase that flips the switch. Someone questions your worth, disrespects your effort, makes you feel invisible, and in a split second, you're no longer the calm, grounded version of yourself. You snap, you lash out, or worse, you spiral inward. But here's the brutal Stoic truth. It's not what they do that breaks you. It's how untrained your mind is when they do it. The mind, left untrained, is a slave to emotion, but trained properly, it becomes a weapon of clarity. This is the principle behind Law 2: train your triggers, because triggers aren't the enemy, they're teachers. Every time you get irritated, offended, jealous, or insecure, that's not a sign of weakness. That's a signal of where your internal system needs reconditioning. Let's bring this into the real world. A colleague talks over you during a meeting. Trigger: you feel dismissed. You receive no reply to your heartfelt message. Trigger: you feel unworthy. You see someone online succeeding faster than you. Trigger: you feel like a failure. Now, pause. This is where the average person reacts. But the Stoic reflects. Instead of fighting the trigger, observe it. I am triggered. Why? What fear is hiding underneath this anger? What expectation am I unconsciously holding? When you begin to ask these questions, you disarm the emotional charge. You stop being run by the program and start rewriting it. This is where emotional intelligence starts, not in suppression, but in understanding. The science backs it up. Neuroscience shows that each time you interrupt a triggered reaction with conscious awareness, you create new neural pathways. You are, in real time, rewiring your emotional brain. This is high-performance psychology at its core, not letting old pain write your present behavior. Because let's face it, you can't control how the world treats you, but you can control what you do next. And in that gap between stimulus and response lies power. So here's your Stoic practice. Write down your top 3 emotional triggers. Track how they show up in daily life. When they hit, breathe, observe, choose a response, not a reaction. It's not glamorous. It won't get applause, but it's mental mastery, the kind that builds true self-respect. Because every time you choose response over reaction, you reinforce the identity of a Stoic warrior, not a puppet of circumstance. Train your triggers, or they will train you. Don't wish for it to be easier. Wish you were better. Jim Rohn and Marcus Aurelius would have nodded in approval. Let's get brutally honest. Most people aren't undisciplined because they're weak. They're undisciplined because they're addicted to novelty. If something doesn't excite them, they abandon it. If it feels repetitive, they call it burnout. If results don't come quickly, they label it as failure. But discipline real. Stoic discipline is built in silence, not stimulation. It thrives in the unseen reps, the quiet mornings, the boring routines, the no one's watching moments. That's what Law 3, embrace the boredom reps, is about. Because the mind that can sit with boredom without reaching for distraction is the mind that can conquer chaos without fear. Think of the Roman legionnaire. He drilled the same motion 1,000 times, not for praise, not for validation, but because one clean strike in battle would mean life or death. Today, your battlefield isn't swords and shields. It's the temptation to scroll instead of study, the craving for fast dopamine instead of long-term fulfillment, the urge to chase intensity over consistency. And just like those warriors, the only way through is repetition. Let's bring it to real life. That early workout when your bed is warm, that's a boredom rep. That second hour of writing when no ideas are flowing, that's a boredom rep. That awkward silence while meditating and your thoughts are screaming, that's a boredom rep. It's not supposed to feel exciting. It's supposed to feel essential. The modern mind avoids boredom. The Stoic mind utilizes it. Science proves it too. In a world flooded with instant gratification, the ability to focus during boredom is a rare form of mental strength. Psychologists call it effortful attention, the backbone of executive function and long-term goal success. The Navy SEALs call it embracing the suck. We call it the Stoic repetition principle. And it applies to every high-performance area of life: leadership, self-control, emotional stability, financial discipline, building luxury from inner order, not outer chaos. Because those who build in silence lead in strength. Your practice 1. Choose one routine task that bores you. 2. Do it daily without music, podcast, or distraction. 3. Watch what rises. Sit with it. Breathe through it. It may feel dull, but you're forging mental armor, the kind that never shines on the outside, but holds you up when everything else collapses. Boredom isn't your enemy. It's your trainer in disguise. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius. Let's bust a myth right now. You don't rise to the level of your motivation. You fall to the level of your environment. Willpower is a finite resource, but your environment, that's a 24/7 influence machine silently shaping your habits, energy, emotions, and even your identity. Law 4, command your environment, isn't just about cleaning your desk or lighting candles. It's about building a fortress of focus, a mental and physical zone where your higher self is the default, not the exception. Picture this: you're trying to stay off social media, but your phone is glowing on your desk. Notifications blinking like sirens. You're trying to eat clean, but the pantry's full of ultra-processed garbage. You want to write that book, but your space is cluttered, chaotic, and uninspiring. This isn't about weakness, it's about proximity. You're not failing because you lack discipline. You're failing because distraction has too much access. Epictetus said, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." Today, we extend that to your home, your tech, your digital feed, even your late-night YouTube history. Commanding your environment means becoming ruthless with what enters your mental temple. Here's how high performers do it. They curate frictionless spaces for deep work. They design dopamine-smart setups to reduce compulsive behavior. They surround themselves with visual cues that anchor identity and mission. This isn't aesthetic. It's strategic architecture. Real-life examples. Ryan Holiday writes, surrounded by Stoic busts and quotes, not for decoration, but for identity reinforcement. Navy SEALs structure their lockers with extreme order because external chaos breeds internal weakness. Steve Jobs wore the same outfit daily, not out of laziness, but to eliminate trivial decisions. You can do the same. Build a space where the path of least resistance leads to your highest self. Try this. 1. Clear your desk. Leave only tools for deep work. 2. Set your phone on Do Not Disturb and place it out of reach. 3. Replace one dopamine trigger, like TikTok or junk food, with a friction barrier. 4. Add a Stoic cue, maybe a print of Seneca's quote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Why it matters. This is about more than productivity. It's about preserving your mental bandwidth, because mental clarity is luxury, and protecting your space is executive leadership over your own life. Discipline isn't just something you generate, it's something you engineer. Final thought. Don't wait until the world gets quieter. Make your world quieter. Because when the mind lives in order, the soul breathes in strength. And that is when transformation begins. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Marcus Aurelius. There's a reason armies in ancient times burned their own ships after landing, because when there's no way back, the only way is forward. This is the core of Law 5, destroy the easy option. In today's world, easy is everywhere. Easy entertainment, easy dopamine, easy excuses, and every time you choose the easier path, you reinforce an identity of escape, not excellence. Here's the brutal truth. You don't need more motivation. You need less escape routes. Most people fail not because they're lazy, but because they always leave themselves a plan B, a comfort trap disguised as self-care. They keep the toxic ex's number. They leave the cookies in the cabinet. They keep the subscription going, just in case. That's not safety. That's sabotage. Law 5 means this. You don't merely commit, you eliminate alternatives. You kill the back door. You tear up the plan B. You block the distraction. You close the app. You delete the contact. You make your higher path the only path. Real-world examples. Julius Caesar once ordered his troops to burn their ships after reaching enemy territory. The message was simple: victory or death. They won. Dean Grover, who trained Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, said winners don't think about what happens if they fail. They focus only on winning. High-performance leaders don't rely on willpower to resist distraction. They remove it entirely. Try this. If you're trying to write, block every website not related to your work. Use apps like Freedom or Cold Turkey. If you're trying to break a habit, don't just say, "I'll stop." Say, "I will make relapse physically or socially impossible." Want to go to the gym in the morning? Sleep in your workout clothes. Lay your shoes at the door. Make skipping it feel like betrayal. This is what separates the elite from the average. They don't just commit in their minds, they commit in their environment, schedule, and identity. They don't keep escape ladders in case discipline gets hard. They remove the ladder and climb anyway. Final thought. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Most of that waste, it comes from giving ourselves too many easy ways out. Destroy them. Because the warrior who cannot retreat fights like hell to win. When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. Marcus Aurelius. If you don't own your morning, your day will be owned by someone else. It sounds simple, but it's one of the most overlooked truths about self-mastery. Your first 60 minutes determine the next 16 hours. Here's what most people do. They wake up late, they grab their phone, they scroll, swipe, consume, before they've even stood up straight. Their mind belongs to someone else. Emails, notifications, other people's agendas. And just like that, they've already lost the day. Now, contrast that with a Stoic approach. No chaos, no noisy, no distractions, just intentional movement, stillness, and mental alignment. Before the world has a chance to hijack your mind, you've already centered yourself, clarified your values, activated your body, designed your mindset. You've built inner order before external disorder begins. What does a Stoic-aligned morning routine look like? Here's a powerful structure used by leaders, creators, and high-performance thinkers. 1. Wake up early, not because it's trendy, but because silence is a luxury. 2. Hydrate first thing. You've been dehydrated for 7-8 hours. 3. Cold shower or movement. Remind your nervous system who's in charge. 4. Meditation or deep breathing, 5-10 minutes of silence to return to yourself. 5. Journaling or Stoic reflection. What will you do today? What's in your control? 6. No phone for 60 minutes. Your mind is a temple. Don't pollute it with noise. Why does this matter? Because the way you start your day is not just a habit. It's a statement of identity. It says, I choose to be the architect of my time, not a slave to the demands of others. It also builds your executive function, the mental framework used in emotional regulation, impulse, control, and high-level decisions. This is how mental resilience is trained. Real-world example: Tim Ferriss, author of Tools of Titans, interviewed 100+ world-class performers. Over 80% of them had structured, non-negotiable morning routines. Ryan Holiday, author of The Daily Stoic, starts each morning with journal prompts from Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, grounding himself before entering the chaos of business and family life. Jocko Willink, former Navy SEAL, wake up at 4:30 a.m. Workout, reflect, take control. Every single day. Action challenge. Tomorrow morning, resist the urge to scroll. Instead, spend 5 minutes in stillness. Write down one thing you're grateful for, and one virtue you'll live by today. Move your body, drink water, say no to chaos. Because if you win the morning, you win the day. And if you win enough mornings, you win your life. If you don't prioritize your life, someone else will. Greg McKeown. Essentialism. Every yes to someone else's urgency is a silent no to your own priorities. And in a world that constantly demands your attention, discipline is not just about what you do, it's about what you refuse to do. The Stoics mastered this. They weren't hermits, they were emperors, senators, teachers, but their inner circle was extremely tight. Their daily agenda was non-negotiable. Marcus Aurelius ruled the Roman Empire, yet his writings are filled with reminders to say no to distractions and guard his inner peace. In Meditations, He writes, "If you seek tranquility, go less. Or more precisely, do what's essential, which brings a double satisfaction, doing less and doing it well." The modern Stoic's dilemma. You're constantly bombarded with invitations that sound kind of fun, projects that aren't aligned with your purpose, people who want your time, but not your growth. Energy vampires masked as opportunities and without discipline. You'll say yes out of guilt or FOMO. But here's the truth. Your time is your life. When you say yes to mediocre things, you're quietly betraying your highest mission. Example, imagine a high-performance executive, let's call him David. David wakes up early, trains, journals, and plans his day around building a new wellness brand. But throughout the day, a quick coffee catch-up turns into 90 minutes. A collab opportunity becomes a time sink. A harmless scroll consumes an hour of his mental bandwidth. At the end of the day, he's exhausted, but nothing essential got done. Now imagine if David had simply said, "Thanks for thinking of me, but I'm laser-focused on something important right now." That one sentence would have brought back hours of his life. The 3 levels of saying no. 1. Soft. No. Not right now. Buy yourself time. Re-evaluate. Later. 2. Firm. No. This isn't aligned with my current goals. Clear. Respectful. Non-negotiable. 3. Boundary. No silence. Blocking or physical removal, used for toxic patterns or repeated disrespect. Strategic application for mental clarity. Protect your peak hours. No meetings. No calls. No emails. Create. Think. Build. Default to no unless the opportunity aligns with your long-term values. Use scripts. Pre-write your way out of low-leverage situations. Right now, I'm heads down on a priority project. Let's reconnect in a month if it's still relevant. Bonus tip. Use the hell yes or no filter if it's not a hell yes. It's a no. High-performing minds understand this. Focus isn't just about attention, it's about subtraction. By saying no, you protect your emotional bandwidth, creative flow, long-term legacy. In closing, a Stoic doesn't say yes to please others. He says no to stay true to himself. This is the kind of strength that builds mental order, financial success, and spiritual clarity. If you are bored, you're not paying close enough attention. Marcus Aurelius paraphrased, "We live in an era of dopamine addiction. Every free second is filled with scrolling TikTok, checking notifications, jumping from tab to tab, searching for the next hit of novelty. And here's the cost: your mind has forgotten how to be still." The Stoic secret. They trained themselves to sit with boredom because they knew that boredom wasn't the enemy, it was the gateway. A gateway to clarity, to creativity, to deep, unshakable focus. Let's get brutally honest. Most people aren't really afraid of boredom. They're afraid of what will rise to the surface when there's no noise left to distract them. Regrets, insecurities, the hard questions they've been avoiding, the voice that says, "You're wasting time." But this is exactly why boredom is powerful. It reveals the inner chaos. It exposes what you've been suppressing. And in that silence, you have a chance to reset, realign, and rebuild. Real-life parallel, the executive reset. Imagine a high-powered executive, let's call her Elena. Her days are packed with meetings, emails, and constant stimulation. But she's slowly losing her sense of direction. She can't think deeply anymore. One day, she's forced to take a silent, tech-free weekend retreat. At first, she panics. No phone, no news, no work, but by day 2, something shifts. Her thoughts slow down. Her intuition reawakens. And suddenly, she has her next business breakthrough, not from effort, but from stillness. That's the power of boredom. It brings order to mental chaos if you have the discipline to sit with it. Tactical tools, how to embrace boredom. Intentionally 1. Daily. Silence, 10-20 minutes. No music. No phone. Just sit. Let the mind wander and then settle. 2. Long walks without input. No podcasts. No calls. Just you and your thoughts. 3. Cold showers or minimalist tasks. Train yourself to endure discomfort without needing a dopamine fix. 4. Journaling through the resistance. Write what comes up when you feel bored. You'll be shocked by the clarity it brings. This discipline of silence isn't just philosophical. It's one of the core tools of high-performance psychology, used by elite CEOs, Navy SEALs, and world-class creators, because in the quiet, they can regain emotional intelligence, reset their executive mindset, and make decisions with mental clarity. Stoic reflection. Be like the cliff against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it. Marcus Aurelius. Boredom is the crashing wave. Stillness is your rock. In closing, in a world addicted to noise, the Stoic warrior chooses silence, not as withdrawal, but as strategic mastery. By embracing boredom, you reclaim your mind, sharpen your focus, and find the path that truly matters. If you seek tranquility, though less, or more accurately, do what's essential. Marcus Aurelius. The modern disease. Overchoice. Your life today is not hard because you're lazy. It's hard because you're drowning in too many options, too many apps, too many commitments, too many tasks, goals, opinions, distractions, and each one drains just a bit of your energy, your focus, your willpower. The Stoics understood this long before neuroscience did. When everything matters, nothing does. So they followed a brutal, brilliant rule. Cut ruthlessly. Keep only what strengthens your character. Real example. The optional trap. Picture this. You wake up. You check 3 email accounts, 5 social apps, and get 20 notifications before you even stretch. Now your mind is scattered before you've done anything meaningful. So you make a to-do list with 19 items on it. By the end of the day, you've touched 12 things, completed 4, and you still feel like a failure. Sound familiar? That's not a lack of discipline, it's a lack of clarity. The Stoic shift, essentialism as a weapon. The Stoics asked a simple question: Is this necessary? If the answer was no, they cut it. If it didn't lead to wisdom, self-control, or strength, it was dead weight. Imagine the mental freedom you'd feel if you let go of toxic friendships, deleted Troy's apps you never use, said no without guilt, and stopped chasing the approval of people who don't even know who they are. You'd wake up to a clearer mind, a lighter soul, and a focused mission. This law is not just a Stoic preference, it's the foundation of executive leadership, elite productivity, and emotional intelligence. The world's top performers, from Silicon Valley founders to special ops soldiers, know this truth. Simplicity is not weakness, it is mental dominance. When your desk is clean, your calendar is intentional, and your mind isn't overcluttered, you make decision faster, execute a deeper, and feel powerful. Practical execution cut. Refine. Repeat 1. Weekly review. Ask what drained me this week that wasn't essential. 2. Digital detox. Delete one app that wastes your time permanently. 3. One priority per day rule. What is the one thing that must get done today? Make it sacred. 4. The 90% rule from Essentialism. If something isn't a 90% yes, it's a no. Stoic reinforcement. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. B1. Marcus Aurelius. Stop debating. Start subtracting. You don't need more effort. You need less distraction. Final word. Simplicity isn't sexy until you realize that freedom lives on the other side of elimination. By cutting the optional, you regain your edge, reclaim your time, and rebuild the discipline that the world forgot. Your mind grows stronger every time you choose challenge over comfort. Difficulties strengthen the mind. As labor does the body. Seneca. Discipline isn't born, it's built. People admire discipline like it's a rare personality trait. But discipline, real discipline, is not genetic. It's not about being tough. It's about choosing the harder path, one tiny decision at a time. And the most powerful Stoic principle to train this voluntary discomfort: they didn't wait for hardship to arrive. They created it on purpose. Real example, the cold shower rule. You don't need to take a cold shower. There's hot water. You're tired. It's early, but you do it anyway, not for hygiene, but to teach your mind this lesson. We do what is right, not what is comfortable. That's the same mindset you'll need when you face rejection. You delay instant gratification, or you choose integrity over approval. It's not about the shower. It's about the signal. You're in control, not your feelings. Training your mind through Stoicism is like doing reps at the mental gym. Each small challenge is a repetition that builds inner strength and resilience. Marcus Aurelius would sleep on the floor when he didn't need to. Epictetus, a slave, endured beatings without complaint, not from passivity, but from strength. The Stoics weren't obsessed with pain. They were obsessed with resilience. Because if you only practice discipline when life forces it on you, you're already too late. Executive mindset keyword, drop. Modern high-performance psychology confirms this. Micro-resistance builds mental toughness. Elite athletes, special forces, fortune, 500 leaders. They all use this training method. Cold exposure, fasting, digital detoxing, early wake-up routines, not because they enjoy it, but because it teaches one message over and over. I control my actions no matter how I feel. That's emotional intelligence. That's executive self-regulation. And that's why the Stoics were always 10 steps ahead. Practical ways to practice daily tests. 1. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. 2. Wake up 30 minutes earlier to read or train your mind. 3. Skip the snack, not for diet, but for discipline. 4. Sit with discomfort during a conversation instead of escaping it. 5. Say no to something tempting, just to prove you can. Each time, you're stacking reps. Each rep makes your willpower stronger, not in theory, but in reality. Stoic reinforcement. We must undergo a hard winter training and not rush into things for which we haven't prepared. Epictetus' life will test you. You can either prepare for it or be broken by it. Final word: discipline doesn't start in emergencies. It starts in the quiet. Ordinary moments where you choose growth over ease. Train now when it's optional, so when the chaos hits, you'll already be unshakable. In a world that rewards immediacy, one-click dopamine hits, overnight fame, instant replies, delayed gratification, is a quiet superpower. It's what separates high performers from the easily distracted. It's what builds legends in the shadows, while the masses chase quick wins in the spotlight. A Stoic understands true power comes from resisting the temptation of now in service of the greatness of later. Think of Marcus Aurelius. He didn't chase fleeting pleasures. He embraced discipline, duty, and vision. He was a Roman emperor, but he lived like a monk because he understood that restraint builds strength. This law is about training your emotional intelligence to say, not yet, when the world tempts you with, right now. It's about teaching your nervous system to sit with discomfort instead of compulsively reaching for relief. It's about building the kind of mental muscle that can withstand pressure, rejection, and uncertainty. Because you're locked in on a long-term mission. This is the mindset of CEOs, of elite athletes, of Stoics. Here's the reality: the world will try to rush you. But a man of inner order is never rushed. He knows that anything meaningful, health, mastery, legacy requires time. And time tests your integrity. Discipline is tested when no one is watching. Will you scroll or will you study? Will you binge or will you build? Every decision you make is a vote for the man you're becoming. Delaying gratification is not just a strategy, it's a declaration of who you truly are. A practical exercise. Next time you're tempted, whether it's junk food, mindless scrolling, or impulse spending pause, ask yourself, will this bring me closer to my long-term vision? If not, walk away, smile, and know that you just earned a mental rep. That's executive mindset. That's self-leadership. Real-life example. Jeff Bezos didn't become the wealthiest man in the world by chasing quick bucks. Amazon didn't turn a profit for years because he delayed gratification. He focused on long-term value, scale, and infrastructure. Now he reaps the rewards of that mental fortitude. Whether you want to build wealth, relationships, a brand, or peace of mind, the same law applies. Final reminder. The world belongs to those who wait, who train in silence, who stack small wins while others chase viral moments. Be the one who chooses depth over dopamine, discipline over distractions, legacy over likes. That's how you win the long game. The less you speak, the more they reveal. The quieter you are, the stronger your presence. In a world addicted to noise, silence is power. Most people speak to impress, to fill awkwardness, to control the narrative. But the Stoic doesn't play that game. He understands what Marcus Aurelius meant when he said, "You always own the option of having no opinion." Let that sink in. Silence is not passivity. Silence is strategy. It's mental discipline in its most elegant form. When you choose silence, you're not withdrawing, you're watching. You're gathering data. You're maintaining mental clarity while others emotionally unravel. Why silence works. 1. It unsettles manipulators. Toxic people feed off reactions. Your silence, it starves them. They don't know where you stand. That's power. 2. It gives you control over your image. When you speak less, your words carry more weight. That's how you build executive presence. People lean in. They listen because they sense precision. 3. It protects your energy. Talking drains focus. Debating invites chaos. But silence, it's clean. It's protective. It keeps your nervous system steady, a hallmark of emotional mastery. Real-world example. Think about Warren Buffett. He doesn't speak much, but when he does, markets move. Because silence builds credibility, and when you do speak, it lands like thunder. Or Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary samurai. He wrote The Book of Five Rings and mastered the battlefield with the principle of strategic restraint. Musashi didn't win by shouting, he won by observing, predicting, and acting with lethal precision. Same applies in life. When to use silence. When provoked, stay still. Let their insecurity expose itself. When negotiating, use the pause. Let their fear fill the gap. When uncertain, don't fake confidence. Observe and listen. When insulted, no reaction is the sharpest response. Because when you're truly powerful, you don't explain, you just move. Daily mental training start. Practicing 5-10 minutes of silent observation every day. Not meditation, strategic stillness. No reacting. No judging, just awareness. It sharpens your intuition, builds mental strength, makes you dangerous in the best way possible. Final thought. The man who commands silence commands respect, commands outcomes, commands himself. So next time you're tempted to over-explain, argue, or speak to fill the void, pause. Own the silence, and let your presence speak louder than your voice ever could. You've just unlocked 12 Stoic laws, not ancient theories, but eternal weapons, forged to master the battlefield within. In a world drowning in distraction, comparison,